This canyon was hit by one of the biggest fires last summer, then a victim to flooding in the fall. Hear from homeowners what they're fearing could happen next this spring.
How Sugar House Park Pond helps prevent flooding in Salt Lake City.
With warmer temperatures throughout the weekend, now flood advisory will be in place for Emigration Creek, as we'll keep warm temperatures for tomorrow. Any other areas that we could see the possibility of flooding, we'll let you know.
Live from Utah's news leader, Fox 13 News at 9 starts right now.
And thanks so much for joining us tonight at 9. I'm Amy Nay. Homeowners in Soldier Canyon eagerly awaiting for county construction to get going. Residents want flood mitigation projects to be ready as soon as possible before spring flooding hits. The town was scorched by the Jacob City fire, you'll remember, last summer, and already forced to evacuate from floods in the fall. Neighbors telling Fox 13 News reporter Emily Tenzer that they monitor this burn scar constantly.
First, it was fire.
Well, it was scary when that fire started coming around the corner. It was huge. I didn't see any way possible for them to come and put that out the way that they did.
Then, floods.
There was an awful lot of anxiety around. There was a lot of uncertainty. We knew not just the fire, but we also knew that floods would follow.
Now residents and visitors of Soldier Canyon are bracing themselves for whatever comes next.
I think we're going to see a whole lot more than what we saw in '83. It's just unreal what Mother Nature can do.
Lonnie Bates put up this concrete barrier within the last year.
It does give us a level of security. You know, we feel like that we've done everything that we can to prepare for high water. We go up in the canyon just about every day watching for it, but it will come. There's a lot of snow up there.
Back in the fall, federal and state agencies approved funding to create berms and other diversion mechanisms to prevent flooding this spring. That phase was set to start April 1st, but residents are still waiting to see the plan in action.
That must have been an April Fool's joke, I don't know.
According to Tooele County's recent spring runoff situation report, Soldier Canyon is monitored weekly, but right now there's no current concerns.
But if everything gets too hot too fast, and if we have a warm rainstorm that comes through like it did in '83, you know, then it's a disaster.
Reporting in Stockton, Emily Tenzer, Fox 13 News, Utah.
Meantime, a flood advisory for Emigration Creek is now in place until 9 o'clock Wednesday morning. Flood mitigation tools already in place for the affected areas from last week. And just a reminder, the floodwaters coming from the canyons is that snow runoff, so the temperature could shock the body if someone were to fall in. Exercise extreme caution if you find yourself near flooded areas. Right now, we want to check in with Utah's Weather Authority. Of course, that's meteorologist Breck Fulton here with us on a Sunday night with more on this flood advisory. And Breck, what else can we expect in the week ahead? Well, we had warm temperatures today, melting all that snow.
We did. Now, of course, as we look at the situation with Emigration Creek, yes, flood advisory in place, in effect right now until Wednesday morning. The biggest concern will be tomorrow night through Tuesday morning, because today we were above average getting into the 70s, and we have one more day with these warm temperatures. Let's talk about the situation where Emigration Creek, of course, last Wednesday through Thursday morning under a flood warning. It expired, though, mid-morning through Thursday. We've been okay since then. Of course, we brought in that storm, bringing a wintry mix. Cooling temperatures off, but again, going through the weekend, we've been warming up. Let me show you what the models are indicating. Again, looking towards tomorrow night through Tuesday, potentially pushing above that flood stage. Now, it's an advisory, which means we're not going to see significant flooding, but definitely it'll be flowing high and fast as we especially look towards tomorrow. Due to the temperatures, yeah, we found temperatures above average in the 70s for official highs here from Ogden through Provo. We got up from the mid-60s in Logan, 60s towards northeastern Utah, getting close to 80 degrees in St. George. We stand right now still holding on to the 60s here along the Wasatch Front, 50s through central Utah, currently 54 degrees in Cedar City, 53 in Blanding, and 69 in St. George. Bringing in a few clouds. We look across northern Utah. These are high-level clouds, getting a little activity from radar. Not much hitting the ground, maybe a sprinkle there in Box Elder County, so this is not going to be a big concern. We'll just be looking at partly cloudy skies here in the overnight hours for the Wasatch Front. As with those clouds and the flow out of the south, temperatures don't drop too much. We'll see overnight lows in the upper 40s, but we're gearing up for our next storm system. Warmer temperatures flow out of the south. It means, yeah, we got another storm on the way, bringing in a cold front, as we're going to see some showers for some of us here as we turn towards Tuesday. Will it be rain, snow? How long will that storm last? And how far will temperatures drop? We'll let you know coming up just a bit.
Breck, thank you. Sugar House Park has reopened to vehicles today after being closed yesterday due to the park's pond overflowing right onto the roadway. Believe it or not, county officials say this is what's meant to happen there. And despite the inconvenience, Salt Lake City residents tell Fox 13 News reporter Darian DeBrule they're grateful for the overflow.
Sugar House Park is one of Salt Lake City's most popular places for cyclers, runners, and walkers like Haley Bateman.
I come here almost every day.
But many park regulars like Bateman were surprised to see the park's pond overflowing Saturday and Sunday.
I just thought it was crazy. Like, you could drive right here and it was flooded. You're like driving through water, and so I couldn't walk this way.
Although the overflow disrupts her walking path, Bateman's happy to hear it's helping keep home safe by being a temporary holding spot for runoff.
That's great. Bring it all in here. The street next to mine was flooded the other night, and we had to pack up sandbags.
If you look around the park, you can see how the landscape kind of ebbs and flows. We've got some higher levels and some lower levels, and that design is intentional. These are long-standing flood control efforts by the county in partnership with the city to reduce impact and mitigate where we can any flood control efforts.
On Saturday, this part of the pond was overflowing even up to the rims of some vehicles. On Sunday, water levels are relatively more normal, but they are still on the roadway. Liz Solis with Salt Lake County Parks and Rec says monitoring water levels throughout the spring is going to be important.
People are going to be expected to see temporary closures intermittently as we continue to try to balance flood control and access to the park.
Solis says the water park visitors saw Saturday and Sunday was pushed down from Mountain Dell Reservoir as preparation for the Parleys Creek peak.
We know that that's going to be heavy as the snowpack continues to melt.
Although park water might be tempting on a warm day, Solis says it's important to keep your pets and yourself away from the pond's overflow.
Once the road's covered, it's hard to know the depth. It's hard to see if there's any debris in the way. We know that when you have water coming through like this, it may not seem as rapid as like a creek bed or a river, but it is still moving really swiftly.
In Sugar House, Darian DeBrule, Fox 13 News, Utah.
And we will continue to cover any spring flooding throughout the state on air and online. You can always find the latest updates at fox13now.com. New tonight, now on Fox 13 News at 9, a Clearfield man behind bars accused of breaking into his elderly neighbor's home, claiming that he was possessed by demons while he was drunk. According to court documents, 29-year-old Ace Hackelman barged through the front door of his neighbor's home in the area of 200 South and 450 East in the middle of the night, attacking both the man and woman who lived there in their bedroom. Hackelman now is charged with burglary, assault, and intoxication. He's been booked into the Davis County Jail and is being held without bail. In southern Utah, a man now behind bars following a road rage incident last night in Santa Clara when he apparently fired a gun on the ground toward a group of 6 juveniles. Police say 74-year-old Alan Culver Ashby confronted the group after becoming angry with the teens who were driving fast and kicking up dirt rocks toward him. The juveniles were able to get to a home as he tried to get inside, but he was unsuccessful. Police located and detained the man. After he had left the scene, Culver Ashby admitted to opening fire and was taken into custody. He is now being held in the Washington County Jail without bail. In Wasatch County, a man had to be flown by helicopter to a nearby hospital after a snowmobile crash near Heber. Wasatch County Search and Rescue saying just before 5:30 yesterday afternoon, the 23-year-old snowmobiler crashed into a wall of snow at the upper end of Lake Creek above Timber Lakes. This video provided by Wasatch County Search and Rescue. There's no word on the snowmobiler's condition tonight. We'll keep you posted if we get any updates. All right, now to a few quick traffic alerts to pass along. I-80 between 700 East and Foothill Drive will be closed for one more night for the bridge replacement project that's been happening throughout the weekend. The old bridge has been around since the 1960s and was long overdue to be replaced. Now get this, UDOT slid the new bridge into place using 16 gallons of dish soap. They said it helped make it slide over a little easier. I-80 is expected to reopen tomorrow at 5 a.m. And after being temporarily closed today in the backcountry, UDOT officials now say Little Cottonwood Canyon will be closed once again tomorrow as a precaution for test firing and potential avalanche danger. At 11 a.m., it will be closed to uphill traffic at the mouth of the canyon. And then at noon, downhill traffic will be stopped at Snowbird Entry 1 or Gate C, if you're familiar with that area. Once the road closes, it will stay closed until the weather cools down at around 7 p.m.
What we've dealt with is something that no community should have to endure.
Mass shootings at a birthday party in Alabama and at a crowded park in Louisville, Kentucky have left at least 6 dead over the last 3 days, the latest in those investigations. And a push for the oldest member of Congress sidelined lately due to health reasons to resign. The arguments from both sides of the aisle. And do your loved ones know your wishes when it comes to end-of-life decisions and important healthcare choices? What could help prompt some of those often overlooked conversations? We'll be right back. Some national headlines for you right now and some troubling news from this weekend. 4 people were shot and killed in a mass shooting related to a Sweet 16 birthday party in Alabama late last night. It happened in Dadeville, about 60 miles northeast of Montgomery. Authorities say 28 other people were hurt. Some of the victims are in critical condition.
We're going to continue to work through in a very methodical way to go through this scene, to look at the facts, and ensure that justice is brought to bear for the families.
The White House says it has been in contact with Alabama authorities and law enforcement as they offer support. And sadly, this was not the only mass shooting in America this weekend. In Louisville, Kentucky, shots were fired into a large crowd at a park late last night, killing at least 2 people and wounding several others. Right now, investigators are working to identify a suspect or suspects and determine a motive. This is the second mass shooting in Louisville in just this past week, after 5 people were killed and 8 people injured in a shooting at a bank there last Monday. According to the Gun Violence Archive, so far the U.S. has suffered at least 163 mass shootings in the first 15 weeks of 2023. It's an average of more than 1.5 mass shootings every day so far this year. In Washington, D.C., the prolonged absence of California Senator Dianne Feinstein is causing some headaches for Democrats. The 89-year-old Feinstein, who is the oldest member of Congress, has missed more than 6 weeks of votes after being hospitalized for shingles. She is on the Senate Judiciary Committee, and while she's out, Democrats cannot nominate or vote on new federal judges. And now she's facing new pressure to resign from members of her own party.
I have a lot of respect for Senator Feinstein, but she's missed 75% of votes this year. She hasn't been showing up, and she has no intention.
Well, Senator Feinstein is asked to be temporarily replaced on the committee while she recovers, but that requires Republicans to sign off, and that's something they are unlikely to do. Still, some of her colleagues in the Senate are coming to her defense.
The decision about whether somebody should resign rests on that individual themselves. I don't think she should be forced out.
A senator should be able to make their own judgments about when they're retiring and when they're not, and they all deserve a chance to get better and come back to work.
She has not given a timetable for when she will come back. The senator has already said that she will not be seeking re-election in 2024. Billionaire Elon Musk is forming an artificial intelligence company. Musk made the filing for his new company, X.AI, early last month in Nevada. He is listed as the sole director. So far, the company has authorized sale of 100 million shares of stock. This comes at a time where the maker of ChatGPT has become the dominant name for the emerging technology. Musk raised eyebrows this week when he said AI can be potentially very destructive to civilization, and he's urged a pause of 6 months minimum in AI training systems. Well, the FAA has given SpaceX the all clear for launching its new giant Starship from Texas on a first test flight tomorrow morning at 6 a.m. Mountain Time. No people or satellites aboard the 394-foot tall rocket. SpaceX will attempt to send the spacecraft around the world all the way to the Pacific Ocean near Hawaii. It'll be the first launch attempt of a full-size Starship. Elon Musk envisions using Starships to send people to the moon and to Mars. NASA has already signed up for a Starship to put astronauts on the lunar surface as early as 2025. Some big ideas out there. Boy, we are talking about all of that way up above us and a little closer to home as we follow some gorgeous weather. The sun was shining and everybody seemed a little happier because of it.
I think so, yeah. Getting away from that winter weather that we saw just a few days prior. Loving this spring weather, loving these warmer temperatures. We're hanging on to the sunshine for one more day. Then we bring in another storm. For some, we might see a few snowflakes, but we need to bring these temperatures down because as we saw today with afternoon highs 10 to 15 degrees below average, we start elevating the flood concern as we've been talking about a few flood advisories that'll be in place here for the next couple of days. Let's get to it. I want to share a photo coming up on our Facebook page. This is Gwen up at one of the peaks at Antelope Island looking across the Great Salt Lake. Off in the distance, you can see Weber Canyon. She said, from previous visits, there's significantly more water at the Great Salt Lake, so we're making progress. We can see some previous shorelines. We still have some distance to go, but yeah, we're heading in the right direction again. We're looking at the flow coming through the Great Salt Lake, moving through all the rivers and streams and through the reservoirs. We've got to keep an eye on this. Flooding concerns moving ahead for some areas, but I like the scenario that's setting up here. As we saw over the weekend, from today and from yesterday and for tomorrow, where temperatures, as you can see, the official high in Salt Lake City, 74 degrees, where on average we should be in the low 60s. We've got to bring those temperatures down so we don't elevate that flood concern too quickly, as that will be the case with this next storm coming in. We're still holding on to the 60s, though, in Salt Lake City. Ogden as well, upper 50s in Provo. A few high clouds around. We might see a very small sprinkle here in the overnight hours, extreme northern Utah. But we're keeping it warm for one more day. High pressure building in. Again, not too hot, but with those rising temperatures, that has been kind of an issue here. We'll talk about the flood advisories that are in place here across the state, but another cool front that's going to help out with the situation there. Now, as we show you here throughout the state, we've got some clouds making their move here for northern Utah. We've got a couple of waves that are going to be coming through, but this is the bigger storm that we're looking at. And it's not really a big storm. It's bringing in the colder air. It'll bring some showers mainly across northern Utah. And initially when it comes through on Wednesday, it's going to be rain in the valley, snow in the mountains. We might see even a chance of an isolated thunderstorm. We're going to see those winds out of the south once again tomorrow, so it gets a little breezy. But let's time out the storm. Again, looking over the next 48 hours, where tonight, some clouds, maybe a few sprinkles near the Utah-Idaho border. We line things up for Monday. No big issues except we start increasing the clouds. Once we get into the evening hours, we have our first wave, kind of a surface front that'll travel through, providing a little instability. Maybe some scattered rain showers. You don't see a threat of isolated thunderstorms tomorrow. This quickly moves on. So as we head into Tuesday, we're good to go for Tuesday morning's commute. We thought potentially we might see some showers. That is not the case. We'll delay it off where we wait the arrival of the cold front. It gets here heading into the afternoon. You can see 3:30 is pushing here along the Wasatch Front. Green in the valleys, snow in the mountains. Again, potentially maybe seeing an isolated thunderstorm. Now here's the thing. It's cold enough with the air coming through that Wednesday morning, it's cold enough that we would see snow, but now the model's showing is that we kind of squeeze the moisture out. So lacking of moisture, we might see a few light mountain showers, less an accumulation. We'll kind of be mainly looking at some clouds and the front moving away, but everyone in the state gets a drop in temperatures. We'll kind of hold on to some winds, particularly across southeastern Utah. And then Wednesday looks to be okay. We might hold on to just a few brief scattered showers. Again, mainly rain heading into Thursday and Friday here across northern Utah. So the shower threat is just for northern Utah, central, southern, most of eastern Utah. You'll be okay. You'll see some winds. You'll see some clouds, cooler temperatures, and that's about it. Now tonight, it's not going to be as cold. We have the clouds. We have that flow out of the south. Looks like overnight lows in the 40s here across northern Utah, mid to upper 30s through central Utah. Tomorrow's highs, similar to today. We'll have those winds out of the south. No wind advisories. It's kind of in that range of 10 to 20 miles per hour, but we're returning to the low 70s in Salt Lake City. Many locations through central Utah also getting into the 70s. We'll get the sunshine moving through the afternoon, though, across northern Utah. We'll see more cloud cover in preparation for that first wave to come through, and then that cold front hitting on Tuesday. Now for St. George, we're going to see a transition of temperatures, low 80s to mid 70s. Some winds, some clouds, no rain. You're into the 60s on Wednesday. Then you rebound back into the 80s heading into Sunday. So we keep it dry for the next 7 days. A little roller coaster ride with the temperatures, but not too bad. We like to see these temperatures drop down, so this is good news. Again, mainly rain with some scattered rain showers there Thursday and Friday, but the best chance of rain will be on Tuesday. We'll hold on to the 50s and then back into the 60s heading into the weekend. So not seeing the winter snow, not a huge drop in temperatures, but the drop that we need to see again on Tuesday. We'll be back right after the break.
horror films challenged the champ at the weekend box office. So could either one knock a certain video game adaptation from the top of the leaderboard? David Daniel has early estimates for the top 5 films in theaters.
I'm calling you now. I'm in the car. The rental car has a phone in it.
Air drove down to 5th place in its second weekend on ticket sales of $7.7 million. $7.8 million gave the horror comedy Renfield a 4th place debut. John Wick Chapter 4 took 3rd with $7.9 million, putting it at $160 million in domestic box office.
On the night of June 4th, you performed an exorcism.
The Pope's Exorcist, featuring Russell Crowe as the Vatican's chief demon dueler, opened in 2nd place with $9.2 million.
Watch and learn.
For the second straight weekend, nothing came close to the Super Mario Bros. Movie. The animated adventure based on the video game franchise made $87 million for a 12-day domestic total of $348 million. In Hollywood, I'm David Daniel.
And still ahead tonight on Fox 13 News at 9, a living will, life support, an advanced directive, topics you should discuss with your loved ones. It's the reasoning behind something called National Healthcare Decision Day, how to start the conversation. And a local nonprofit serving the often underserved communities in many rural areas in our state and beyond. A look at Project Embrace, bringing needed medical equipment to the Navajo Nation and how you can help. And she did something she says she thought she'd never be able to do, overcoming challenges associated with MS and competing in a national pageant. We'll introduce you to Sandy's own Ms. USA Elite and hear her inspiring message to all of us. When it comes to healthcare, are you looking ahead to the future? Today may just be the perfect day to do that. Every April 16th is what's called National Healthcare Decision Day. Governor Spencer Cox has even declared today as Utah Healthcare Decision Day. So it's not a coincidence that it coincides with the tax return deadline, because it is said that death and taxes are the two things that none of us can escape. As Fox 13 News anchor Max Roth explains, it's a good reminder that talking with your most trusted loved ones about some of life's biggest decisions will help everyone involved.
If there's one thing that we all have in common, it's our mortality.
Dr. Solani Shah works with patients facing the biggest questions in life, usually with loved ones by their sides. And she's learned a lot about the importance of clarity.
But when you sit down with your loved ones and talk about your values, what brings you meaning and joy in life, that makes it a lot easier for your family and friends to then make decisions for you.
And it doesn't have to be morose, I guess. It can be, hey, we all love each other, and I want to be there as long as is humanly possible. So how do you want me to be at times when you need someone else to step in?
When you can discuss things not necessarily in the terms of, oh, would I want this life support or the help of this machine? You know, often discussing things in that medical way can feel very cold. But when we talk about what gives us meaning and joy and what allows us to thrive and really experience life, when we're able to list those things and let our loved ones know, then they can apply that knowledge to medical interventions and think about, will this allow my father to keep playing golf or to fish or to travel as they've always wanted to do.
Because it is about possible future events, an advance directive should be changed in the face of life changes. Changes Dr. Shah speaks of as the 4 Ds. Diagnosis. If you learn you face a particular illness, think about how that may change your perspective. And a health decline. That may have the same effect, a reconsideration of your wishes. A divorce. Often a spouse is the designated agent for decisions. And then death. If your chosen agent dies, who would you then designate? And another thought from Dr. Shah, sometimes it helps to designate more than one person. So long as you're comfortable, they can work well together.
When that patient is able to tell me, this is the person or these are the 2 or 3 people that I want making medical decisions for me, and they are the ones who know me the best and have my interests at heart, then that's what I document and that's what I trust and listen to.
in Salt Lake City. Max Roth, Fox 13 News, Utah.
Thanks so much, Max. You know, advanced directives are pretty simple forms you can find online at intermountainhealth.org. They should also be handy to anyone who you talk to at your doctor's office. Turning to more local news right now, and a local nonprofit in need of your help as they try to round up gently used medical equipment and bring it to communities in need. The founder and CEO and COO of Project Embrace were on Fox 13 News live at 5 earlier today. I had the pleasure of speaking with these guys. They were telling us about a recent medical campaign to the Navajo Reservation and many rural communities in the Mountain West region. They said they were able to deliver over 200 pieces of equipment in just this last trip, but realized the need is great.
The need is incredible, and that we need to be back out there more. And really what's holding us back is not necessarily a lack of medical equipment. Like, we're always happy to take donations, but it really is budgetary constraints.
Each one of these devices to that patient, it is truly life-changing.
In addition to donating crutches or wheelchairs and walkers you may have lying around in your basement or garage, the organizers say they could also use your manpower and your help volunteering with the organization. Also, your financial contributions are appreciated to facilitate the travel for the group. To find out more about Project Embrace, just scan the QR code that's right there on your screen right now. And of course, we can always link you over at fox13now.com. Okay, this one will leave you inspired. A woman from Sandy using her success in the world of pageants to raise awareness for an important cause, one that's close to her heart. We spoke with Heidi Peterson this morning on Good Day Utah Weekend. We have had some amazing guests today. She is the current Ms. USA World Elite title holder. She also happens to be battling multiple sclerosis, or MS. She decided to give pageantry its shot, she said, during the pandemic, overcoming so many aspects of the debilitating disease to be crowned with this prestigious title. She is now using her platform to raise awareness of the disease. It affects so many people and all so differently, and to let everyone know that they can go after their dreams against all odds.
I just hope that people can see that they can do anything that they want. It may look different than what you thought it would look like, but you can get there. You know, you may have to alter your path, but you're gonna reach your goal, and just rely on people that you love and people that you know, and set a goal for yourself. And once you get there, it is amazing.
She is pretty impressive. Peterson will be competing in the Ms. World International Competition on June 25th in Honolulu, Hawaii. And you can track her journey online by following her Instagram account at Ms. USA Elite. Coming up, the relationship between Indigenous Americans and the federal government has had a tumultuous past, but there's one treaty that is closer to coming to fruition. We'll explain.
And coming up in sports, there were some games, upsets in the NBA playoffs today, with some key players going out with injuries. And the Utah softball team did it again, another walk-off win against number 5 Stanford. The highlights are on the way. Boy, there's an intriguing first-round playoff series in the NBA between LeBron James and the 7th seed Los Angeles Lakers and Ja Morant, the 2nd seed Memphis Grizzlies. Picking up in the first quarter, James takes it all the way to the rim. He had 21 points and 11 rebounds. Then just before the half, Morant pulls up, hits the jumper. He had 18 points, and the Grizzlies led it by 6 at the break. We'll have more on him in a minute. Third quarter, it's Anthony Davis with the throwdown for the Lakers. He finished with 22 points and 12 rebounds. The top scorer from LA, Rui Hachimura. 3 is good. Then he takes it in for the hammer. He scored a playoff career best 29 points with 21 in the fourth quarter. Later in the fourth, Morant takes it in, goes down hard. He injured his right hand on the play, left the game with just under 6 minutes to play. The Lakers pulled ahead. Austin Reeves, 3 of his 23 points. The Lakers won at 128-112. To take game 1 of the series and take over home court advantage. In the East, top seed Milwaukee Bucks took on the 8th seed Miami Heat. First quarter, Giannis Antetokounmpo goes down hard on his back. The 2-time MVP stayed on the game to shoot free throws before heading to the locker room. He did return, but then left the game for good in the second quarter with lower back bruise. The Heat also had a player injured, Tyler Hero. Hurd has broke his right hand later in the second quarter, diving for that loose ball. Miami managed to play well without him. Jimmy Butler led the way. In for the throwdown, he had 35 points to lead the Heat to a 130-117 win over the Bucks. 19th ranked Utah softball team had a walk-off win over number 5 Stanford Saturday. They did it again today. Abby Dayton, the double in the 4th inning. That brought in Sophia Yaquez to put Utes up 2-0. Then later in the 4th inning, Hallie Morris, a base hit. Stella Bennett comes around and slides in safely. The Utes were up 4-0. Stanford did rally back to take a 4-3 lead. But with the bases loaded in the 7th inning, Lisa Bonstrom comes through with a line drive up the middle. Shelby Ortiz scores, and there's Haley Denning safe with the game-winning run. The Utes won at 5-4 to complete the 3-game sweep over the Cardinals. Salt Lake Bees wrapped up their 6-game series in Las Vegas. Mickey Moniak swinging a hot bat, rips a 2-run home run in the 2nd inning, put the Bees up 4-3, his 3rd home run in this series. Well, Las Vegas scored 3 runs in the bottom of the 9th to win it 8-7. Bees start a 6-game homestand against Reno on Tuesday. Coming up tonight on the sports page, we'll hear from the Jazz as they head into the offseason, plus more on the NBA playoffs, spring football with the Utes, Cougars, Aggies, and Wildcats, and we'll hear from the 2 new head basketball coaches at Utah State and Utah Valley.
Wow, lots to talk about.
A lot of injuries today in the NBA. You hate to see that. You want everybody to have their best players, but we'll see how that all shakes out.
Exciting playoff basketball.
And also, the Suns lost tonight at home against the Clippers in the first round, so some upsets. There you go.
All right, lots more to talk about tonight on the sports page. And straight ahead here on Fox 13 News at 9, we're going to show you one baseball league that makes sure that everybody gets to take a swing. Find out what the Buddies Baseball League is all about when we return.
You like to see him play on the field, where this past week, finally, many of us with those little leagues getting out on the baseball field. I want to share some drone footage coming in from Chris, Big Cottonwood Canyon. A lot of snow up there, still over 200% above average for our snowpack, and we look to add on to it with our next storm. How much snow are we expecting? I'll let you know after the break.
In our Two Americas series, we're aiming to cover the America you know and the America that you may not. Tonight, we take a look at an issue that dates back nearly 200 years. As Matt Pearl learns, there's progress upholding a treaty that so many thought would never come to fruition. It's a treaty that makes a difference to all Indigenous Americans.
History and pride. Drive through Tahlequah, Oklahoma, the capital of Cherokee Nation, and you'll find plenty of both.
Federal policy is completely interwoven into my family's history from removal to today.
Kim Teehee was raised in Tahlequah. She's lived there much of her life, and she's looking to make history in a way that would encompass history, 200 years worth, with present-day pride.
Indian tribes have too few champions in Congress. I think it sends a huge signal to all the tribes in this country that the United States is capable of keeping its word.
There are currently 6 non-voting delegates in the U.S. Congress. They represent territories like Guam and Puerto Rico and Washington, D.C. Teehee is trying to become number 7, the first to represent a Native American tribe.
You can introduce legislation, you can serve in committees, you can vote in committees. This is a provision that has remained unfulfilled for nearly 200 years.
The Treaty of New Echota was signed in 1835. It's known for leading to the forced removal of the Cherokee east of the Mississippi. But it also said they shall be entitled to a delegate in the House of Representatives whenever Congress shall make provision for the same.
We need to honor those treaty obligations.
This past fall, 187 years later, Congress held its first ever hearing on the issue.
Today marks an important first step.
Eyebrows rose. Then the year ended. The House switched hands, a new Congress took over, momentum has stalled.
I don't think that we can discount what it would mean to have a Native person, a Cherokee person, sitting in the room.
Dr. Julie Reed is a member of Cherokee Nation and a professor of history at Penn State. She says there's power in the House beyond a vote, particularly for tribes whose concerns too often go unheard.
We often overlook lots of people who have the ability to really shape legislation.
You start with funding, healthcare, education, infrastructure, connectivity issues, and it runs the gamut.
We reached out to the White House and got this response, quote, "We are supportive of upholding the federal government's treaty obligations, although this is an issue that Congress must decide. There has not been a congressional action to recognize the delegate for the administration to respond to." Drive through Tahlequah and you don't just feel history and pride. You witness many of the issues Teehee listed. The fight for her seat is about correcting history and instilling pride. She'll tell you it's also about steering the discussions that affect her community.
It's something beyond you, right? It's helping others.
In Tahlequah, Oklahoma, I'm Matt Pearl.
All right, sometimes you never know what you're capable of doing until you try. Something I think I tell my boys a few times. It's what dozens of baseball players in Tennessee got to experience this weekend. Erin Cottrell with our sister station in Nashville shows us how one baseball league is helping players develop a love for the game and help everyone feel included.
There's nothing like a game of baseball to bring a community together.
It's an American favorite. You can't go wrong.
Everybody wants to win when it comes to a game, but have fun. Let the kids experience this.
We've got 4 teams and a little over, I think it's 35 participants.
In this league, there are no losers.
And this is the most fun of a baseball game that you'll ever see.
Just winners.
Oh, come on, baby, do this.
We want everybody to feel included, everybody to have that opportunity.
An opportunity a lot of these players hardly ever get.
You look around and God loves diversity because he certainly gave us enough different people.
You have some kids that's autistic, you have some kids that have Down syndrome.
Good job, go Charity!
This is the second year an opening game for the Buddies League. People with special needs get to experience what many of us take for granted.
Usually there's nothing for special needs kids to do, and this is the first thing that they've ever done to where he can participate in something.
This is a place where we have like-minded parents. We can get together and share our lives with each other in this moment.
Michelle Pentecosta's adopted son, James Ford,
It's the best gift I've ever been given. He's my everything.
is the oldest member in this league, 65.
Echolay is usually where the person will repeat the last thing that someone says.
Players are teamed up with buddies to help them navigate the game. And the enjoyment the players get out of it, well, it's priceless.
They get to interact more and come out of their shell more, and they get to talk with their friends, and they look forward to seeing other people.
It just makes them feel like, you know what I mean, like they can do stuff that, you know, any other kid can do.
There we go.
In baseball, there are tons of lessons to learn.
Every game, every pitch is important. Every field has the possibility of making a story that evening.
The one being told here, everyone is special.
Everyone has their own abilities, and you get to see them flourish.
In Nashville, I'm Aaron Cantrell reporting.
Oh, I love that so much.
Me too. Giving an opportunity for everybody.
Yeah, pretty cool. And it's exciting to see everybody out on the baseball fields. It wasn't that long ago, a few weeks ago, where I was doing a story about how these baseball teams could not get out there on the field.
Limited opportunity because of the weather. Finally, this last week, my kids' little leagues, we got our first practice, we got our first game. We might have a little bit of a hindrance, though, for this upcoming week here across northern Utah.
You're not talking about snow, are you?
I think we'll keep it away from the valleys. It is cold enough with this next storm that we could see snow, but by the time that cold air moves in, a lot of showers moving away. But let's talk about what the immediate threat is, flood situation. I didn't mention this earlier on, but there's another location we need to talk about with the flood advisory in place. This is turning towards southern Idaho. This is our viewing audience up in Preston. Hello. As we can see, Franklin County under a flood advisory until tomorrow at 3 o'clock. So incorporating Franklin, Preston over towards Weston, Oneida as well. As we're mainly looking at areas with poor drainage and some of those lower fields definitely could see some flooding. But Emigration Creek, again, as a reminder, tonight through Wednesday morning, flood advisory also in place. I showed you this graph. Let's just give you a quick update where, yes, Wednesday night through Thursday, we had issues. We've been seeing, due to the cooling, no issues up until now, but today's warm temperatures really kicking up. As you can see, the flow increasing, and we're going to have temperatures very similar to what we found today. So tomorrow night through Tuesday, that's the kind of the time frame that we have the biggest concern for Emigration Creek. Right now in Salt Lake City, we're at 65 degrees. A few high clouds around, winds out of the south. indication, yeah, we have a storm system on the way. For northern Utah, we're going to see, looks like extreme northern Utah, some sprinkles tomorrow, but the cold front really hits Tuesday afternoon. That's when we see our best chance of some showers, initially rain, maybe even some isolated thunderstorms. Now, overnight Tuesday to Wednesday, temperatures do drop. We'll see mainly snow in the mountains. As I mentioned, by the time that colder air really gets in here, the showers move away. We'll keep that threat going for the mountains. And for St. George, we just do not have that chance here for the next 7 days. We're keeping it dry. So central and southern Utah, you're going to stay dry, but you'll experience the colder air and a drop in temperatures as we turn to Tuesday and Wednesday. A few clouds in place, northern through central Utah. Not much activity from radar. High pressure still in place, breaking down as the storm system does approach. Now, I mentioned we're going to see snow in the mountains. Models really scaling back the amount. We've almost cut it in half, whereas we can see over the next 48 hours, kind of on a range, low end, maybe an inch, upwards of 5 inches in Brighton. So yes, we'll build in that snowpack. Beaver Mountain potentially could get a little bit more, but nothing of great significance. And we're not going to see heavy precipitation too much here across northern Utah. I mentioned that isolated thunderstorm. Again, it hopefully doesn't track over like Immigration Creek. That could maybe be a little bit of an issue, but it doesn't look like we'll see a big threat of that. So I'm thinking pretty good here with this next storm. All it will mainly do, which we need it to do, is bring down temperatures to slow that snow melt here across northern central Utah. Now, waking up tomorrow morning, we're going to see partly cloudy skies for your morning commute. No issues weather-wise. We're good to go. And throughout the afternoon, you should be good to go as well, as highs return back into the 70s for Salt Lake City and Provo, and many spots there through central towards southeastern Utah in the 70s as well. Low 80s in St. George, where we've got 80s, and then a little bit cooler on Tuesday with some winds. And then we're down to the 60s. I mentioned no rain. We don't see it, and we see a nice rebound heading into the weekend. Northern Utah, rain Tuesday, break Wednesday, just a few sprinkles. Thursday and Friday, mainly rain with temperatures remaining in the 50s, but we're back into the 60s for the weekend. So we bring those temperatures down. That will help out with the flooding situation, but it's going to be another warm day for tomorrow. We'll be back right after the break.
Some good news to bring you right now from the Utah Department of Transportation. All lanes of I-80 in Salt Lake City are now open. They said they were able to wrap up their work early. They were expected to be closed throughout tonight and reopen tomorrow morning. But again, they have reopened, announcing that just within the last hour. So good news for a lot of folks here who've been going around the detours after the closure.
Rough weekend.
Rough weekend, that's for sure.
Hey, we're so glad you joined us tonight on Fox 15 News at 9. Quick Cast is next.